Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a quick video. I'm not going to be here for a long time. I will give a couple of guys a chance to show up. I wanted to do this live just because um, it was the quickest, easiest way to get this sort of uploaded, to share my thoughts with you guys in a way that was pretty simple and pretty straightforward. And worked out best given the circumstances. So we're going to talk a little bit about Blade Show. If you were there, go ahead and weigh in the comments. I'd love to hear it. There's 7 people in now. I want to give just another 2 or 3 minutes, but I did Blade Show a little different than probably I should have. I'll talk about that in a minute as we kind of work our way through. But let me first say that the overall experience of Blade Show was fantastic. It was so much fun. I had an absolute blast getting to meet a bunch of people, to spend time with a bunch of people. And you know what? To those of you who were there, who came up and said, "Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Watch your videos, love your videos." That was so much fun. It was great getting to spend a little time with those of you who follow the channel and who make the channel, as good as it can be. I try to keep it pretty casual, and I love that you guys, allow me to just share my thoughts with you and just allow me to do this. I have a lot of fun, and so I hope you guys have a lot of fun too. So, Blade Show was totally fantastic, and definitely something I plan to do again. I did make one mistake. I'm working through some notes here. I'll move these out of the way in a second, but I did make one mistake, and that was I really didn't give myself enough time to do all the things that I should have done, that I wanted to do. I was there all day Friday, basically from the time every regular person could get in until the time it was all over. But honestly, that time on Friday was essentially enough to kind of get oriented, right? Just to kind of figure out how everything works and where everything is, and what booths are where, and the best way to sort of approach the whole thing. And so really that's all that I was able to get done. I wasn't able to spend the time and energy that I wanted. Once you sort of said, "Hey, this person's got a great booth, or that person's got a great booth," you you really need that second day. Anyway, because I didn't have it, first show, yeah, it was fantastic. It really was. Anyway, because I didn't have that little extra time that I needed, it wasn't maybe all that it could have been. Now, having said that, it was fantastic, but like I said, I just had enough time to get my bearings when I would have liked that second day at least. For content for the show. It would have allowed me to go home, make a bunch of notes, be organized when I came in the next day to really hit the things that I wanted to hit. What I should have done is gone in the first day with no expectations, just wandered around, chatted with people, done whatever I felt like. And then the second day I could have, really focused on getting some content for the channel. But I tried to do both at one time. It just didn't work out that well. I did get some content, and I'm going to do sort of a gear focused video about Blade Show, but that'll come in a little bit. So probably sometime next week I'll put up a video where I just talk about all the things I saw, the coolest gear that stood out to me the most, all that kind of stuff. This video, or this discussion, is going to be more about the experience itself. So next is the next thing I want to say, and probably the biggest point of this video, is the very best part of Blade Show was the people. It really was. Honestly, I can see lots of cool knives online. I get sent knives for review. I can go to other places and sort of get my hands physically on lots of different knives. That's fine. Blade Show's cool for that, but what I can't do every day is hang out with knife makers and knife enthusiasts and other reviewers and just various people from the community. That's what makes Blade so much fun. And so spending time with the people who were there, I spent a good part of Friday morning. There's a long wait. Like, if you don't have any kind of, if you don't have a press pass or an exhibitor's pass, you can't get in early, so you're waiting around till 2 o'clock, and that was what I was doing. But you could have gone and stood in the lineup for hours on end, but that was a waste of time. And honestly, I didn't even bother to go line up till about 1:30, and I got in by 210, so anyway, the best part was I knew I wasn't going to stand in line all day, so I went down to the pit over at the Waverly and met up with Dr. Frunky and Slicey Dicey and Heels with Steel on Instagram and Tony Meteor and Nick Shabazz and a few other guys were also there. Who else was there from Instagram? Anyway, I know I'm forgetting someone. If I'm forgetting you, I apologize. I know I've got notes and I'm still forgetting, but got to sit down with a bunch of guys and just hang out. We talked about knives. We took out a bunch of knives. I will say I took a lot of pictures because those guys had some crazy knives that they'd scored either the night before or just earlier that day. Some awesome stuff. And so hanging out with those guys was a lot of fun. And that's just sort of the beginning. Once we left the pit, finally around 12:30 or so, we all kind of said, okay, I guess we should try and do something. So we got up, we went over, we went and had something to eat. First of all, Dr. Frunky and Slicey Dicey and I grabbed some Chinese, and then went ahead and went over and sort of waited around to get in the show. So the next thing is even standing in line. So I did have to stand in line for a good long time. I think I lined up around 1 o'clock, and I ended up standing in line for a good hour. But it wasn't that bad because you're in line with other people who are all, gear nuts as well. So, we could talk about what we're after, what we're interested in, things we're disappointed in. The other two guys that were around me had been multiple times to Blade before, so I could sort of pick their brain about, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, what things, anyway. So we had a whole long conversation. It's all gear guys around you. So that even standing in line was kind of fun. And then when we finally got in, now I will say this, it was completely overwhelming. There are 2 rooms, one huge room, which is sort of, I would call it the main room, and then there's a secondary room off to the side. So the entrance I was sort of directed to was the side room, and it wasn't, I did meet Dirk Pinkerton like almost the second I got in the door, and I love his designs. All the Kaisers that I like are his designs. So, and I told him that. So that was the next thing. So after you're in there, again, it was the people that made it all that it could be. I ran into Jake, Canadian Cutting Edge, talked with him for 10 minutes or so. Nice to see a fellow Canadian down there. I know there were a couple of other Canadians. If you're watching this and you're one of those fellow Canadians, go ahead and let me know down in the comments or in the live stream there. So yeah, I met a few fellow Canadians, met Jake. And then that's when you get to meet a bunch of people. So I talked to Elijah Isham for quite a long time. I talked to a few different booths. I talked to Ben from Blade HQ, who, by the way, does not say, "What's up, guys?" when he just meets you in person. He just says, "Hey, how's it going?" So chatted with Ben a little bit. It's kind of funny that he's sort of become this, I don't know, a demi-celebrity in the knife community. Spent a good long time talking to Chris Williamson from Ferrum Forge. He was at the Mass Drop booth, and I hung out there for quite a while. One, because I was talking to Chris, and he's a great guy, super nice. He was sharing, some stuff they're coming up with, and I was talking to him about their partnerships with Mass Drop, and I love so much of what they've done with Mass Drop. The rep from Mass Drop was there too, and I gave him a lot of credit. I said, look, in the last few years, some of my favorite knives have been Mass Drop collaborations. I specifically mentioned the Keen and the Crux, which are favorites. My review of the Orca just posted, and on my way, as I was leaving to go to Blade, I got the notification that the ProTech collab, the Mordax had shipped and is on the way to my house. So I was super stoked, and they had one there, and I was telling Chris how excited I was to see that coming and how much I appreciate those guys. You guys, some of you may remember if you've been around this long, that I had a Fortis, a Ferrum Forge Fortis, from way back, and I talked to him about that knife and how long I've been following them. So that was really, really cool. And so again, it was in there again. I've handled tons of Hinderer knives, but I've never met Rick Hinderer until then. I've seen and handled tons of all kinds of different blades, but it's really, really fun. I talked to Ramon Chavez for a while. I talked to a bunch of different people, and that's what makes Blade Show really, really cool, is the different people you run into and you can spend time with, just sort of chatting with them and catching up. Not to mention a number of you guys, as I was walking around the show, you guys would say, hey, aren't you Kevin Cleary? And we could sort of stop and catch up a little bit. I will say this, one of the people I spent a long time talking to was Wes from Best Tech Knives. He's the Best Tech rep these days. He's been a subscriber for a long time. I've actually sold him a couple of knives. We've emailed back and forth. So it's we've had this ongoing relationship for a number of years, and to finally get to sit down with him in person and just sort of shoot the breeze. And so I did shoot a Best Tech video, and that'll probably post next week. But after the video, and actually before as well, Wes and I just kind of hung around for half an hour just chatting about things that are going on and what's going on with the industry and all that kind of stuff. Yes, buy the early pass. That's definitely a thing. For next year, I will definitely be pursuing an alternative method to standing in line for hours on end. That was on my list of smaller mistakes that I would have brought up, that I plan to bring up in my next video. So I probably will, because I've got notes for it and I'll forget that I mentioned it now. But I'll do something different to get a pass. From Argentina, saying thanks, man. And Red Cheeks commented Bible Onion. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, so I completely have lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, meeting people at Blade, all the people I talked to on the floor, it was fantastic. Oh yeah, I talked to Daniel, or is it David? Anyway, from Tuya Knives, he sent me knives before for review. I've emailed back and forth with him many times, but again, I've never met him in person. I've never gotten to talk to him in person. And that was, by the way, the other thing. So after the show was done, I was totally exhausted. I was texting with a couple of other guys, and they're like, hey, we're going to meet over in the pit to hang out for a bit. Why don't you come by? So I went back over to the pit. I met up with Slicey Dicey and Eugene Kwan, and eventually Dr. Funky showed back up, and a couple of other guys, and we just kind of hung around chatting for a bit. Finally, we decided we'd go and grab something to eat, which we did just at the restaurant there in the Waverly. Not the best restaurant I've ever eaten at, but it was fine, and it was right there, and it allowed us to sort of carry on our conversation for a while. So fantastic meal, not so much because the food was good. It was fine. It was good food. But the people were fantastic. We all had knives out on the table. We're all kind of sharing the different knives and different stories about knives and life experiences and stuff like that. And so that was really, really cool. The last thing I guess I should talk about is, am I bringing any knives home for Blade? And actually, I'm not bringing much home that's anything special. So if you passed the V Knives booth while you were at Blade Show, they were giving away these little guys. The lighting is horrible where I am, guys. I'm in a motel, so the lighting was horrible, but they were giving these away. And hey man, yeah, I'm glad I made it too. It was a ton of fun. So yeah, V Knives was giving these little tiny bug knives away, and I don't know what I'll do with this. I may, I may give it to my son. He kind of likes it, or I may use it for a giveaway. We'll see what happens as time goes by. As you can well imagine, when my son wants it, there's a pretty high desire to give into that, because I really want him to love knives. Anyway. So this guy did come home with me. The other thing that happened is, as I did my Best Tech review, the Best Tech rep says, whoa, before you leave, I've just got something for you. And I thought, it'll be a flyer, it'll be some promotional material, something like that. Anyway, she hands me this. And so we've got here a Best Tech Tercel, nice little knife, S35VN titanium frame lock. This light does not do it justice at all, but at least you can get kind of a sense for it, and probably some of you are familiar with that knife anyway. So huge thank you to Best Tech for spending some time with me, letting me go over their new stuff, and of course giving me this fantastic little parting gift. Then I have something else here, and Eugene, if you're watching, don't get too mad at me, but this is the Custom Knife Factory Fief 23. This knife is phenomenal, guys. So Dr. Funky, I was sitting down talking with him, and he goes, Kevin, I have a knife in my bag that you will adore. And so he gets the knife out, hands it to me, and this was the knife. And this thing is spectacular. I'm not even going to try to tell you all about it. I'll do a first impressions video for this because there are so many cool little points that I want to hit. But this is a beautiful big knife, fantastic blade finish, one of the nicest I've seen. Zerk bolster, marbled carbon fiber, just a beautiful, beautiful knife. And so Frank says to me, Dr. Franke says to me, Kevin, you should take this knife home. It's going to Eugene Kwan eventually. So Eugene, if you're watching this, don't be too mad at me. Maybe you'll understand. Because it can be a pain in the neck getting stuff into Canada, Dr. Franke says, Kevin, you take this with you, spend some time with it, make a video or two, and then getting a knife out of Canada, that's no problem, right? They go back, they go across the border just like that. So when I am done loving this knife, which should be in 3 to 5 years, I will send it over to Eugene for review. So Eugene, I'm really sorry, but this thing is fantastic. And I will not apologize for taking it home at all. It's just mind-blowing how good this is. They're a little steep, probably even maybe a little rich for my blood, but just fantastic, fantastic knife. Let's see. So this stuff is coming home with me from Blade Show, even though I didn't buy any of it. So did I buy anything? There was one knife that I bought. It was kind of the main knife that I was hoping to buy. I knew that they would be available at Blade and then not again for a while. So I think these are going to be in full production. They're going to be widely available, but it's going to be a little bit of time before most retailers have these in stock. So this is the Chavez. I don't know if they're calling this line the Ultramar. So the Ultramar was the previous sort of production line that Ramon Chavez did. This is a larger size than that. And so those Ultramars, I've handled a few of them, and I've toyed with buying one a couple of times, but they're just too small for me. You guys who follow the channel, you know I like the larger stuff, and so those just didn't do anything for me. However, this is exactly what I would have wanted. And so when I heard that these would be available at Blade, I was pretty stoked. And so the fact that I'm now able to get one and handle it, and this is fantastic. So this is the only thing I bought at Blade. There was one other knife that I really, really thought about, and I may as well just tell you. So there were some 20 CV Para 2s there that were on sale because the boxes were destroyed, and I'm still kicking myself for not buying one. I thought, anyway, I didn't buy it, and I really should have, because I won't get another opportunity to get them for the price they were going at. So anyway, yeah, this is the only knife I bought at Blade. I'm pretty stoked about it. It feels fantastic in hand. I love the grind. I love the materials. So I'm really, really happy with it. But that's the only thing I bought. I didn't do the, go crazy and spend yourself into oblivion, because I did kind of make Blade into a part of a family vacation. So wasn't going to work for me to just blow a bunch of money when I had some other commitments to take care of. So I did get some knives. I'm pretty happy about the knives that I was able to bring home. And mostly I'm pretty happy about the overall experience. Blade Show was totally awesome. I had such a good time. A huge thank you to all of you who spent some time with me, who had dinner with me, who talked about knives with me, who took the time to let me, record some stuff at your booth. Just so many great experiences in even just a few hours. I was there from about 10 o'clock in the morning at the Waverly. I was at the Waverly from about 10 o'clock in the morning till about 9:30 at night, and it was a fantastic day. Definitely will plan to have a little more time next time. Those of you who checked into it, the live stream, thank you so much for watching. Those of you who will be watching later, thank you for watching. Hope everyone has a great week. I'm going to go back to my family. We are in the middle of a vacation, but I wanted to get this video posted in the meantime. By the way, big thank you to the motel where I'm staying as well for letting me kind of find a little corner and do this. And by the way, thanks to you guys again for putting up with the lighting. I know it was not stellar. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign out.